Hi guys! Today I'm doing something a little bit different on this channel because I needed some other opinions. What sparked this video is this book. And it seems a little bizarre, but I was talking to one of my friends recently and came to realize that they had never read Harry Potter. Which didn't really surprise me that much because I know a lot of people don't read a lot, especially after they graduate high school. It just kind of peters off and it's not something that a lot of people pick up and do for fun. So the fact that this friend of mine had not read Harry Potter was really not that surprising to me because they mentioned that they had come from a very conservative family and were not allowed to read the books as a child when they first came out because of the witchcraft, which seems to be a very common theme, and it makes me so sad that people are missing out on these books because their parents were really conservative. But as we were talking further about the books, realized that this friend had also never seen the movies. And I have some friends who have not read Harry Potter, which I completely understand, as I said before, but most of them have seen at least one of the movies, but this friend had not seen any of them, and that really surprised me. So I ended up getting this friend to read the first book. They got about halfway through before we ended up watching the movie, and after we finished the movie, I turned to them expectantly, waiting for that, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing movie, because most people really love Harry Potter. And my roommate even came in, who also loves Harry Potter, and was doing the same thing, wondering what they thought of the movie. And they were just kind of blank. They didn't seem to care one way or the other, like, it was okay. And they said that maybe it was because they were too old and had kind of missed out on the Harry Potter craze. That's what started this idea in my head of, can you be too old for a book? And I never thought you could. My initial thought was, no, books are ageless, right? You can read them at any age, it doesn't matter. I have read this book several times, as has my brother. As you can tell from this copy, not sure how well it's going to show up in the video, but it's very well loved, to say the least. And all of our copies of these books look very similar. They're worn, they've been read several times, and I love these books. They will always have a special place in my heart. So when I started learning French and somebody recommended to read a book that you already know in that language, I bought Harry Potter because it just seemed like the most natural thing to do. Caveat, I haven't read it yet, but it's the thought that counts, right? And I also know a lot of people who read Harry Potter as adults, not even as children. So like when the books were coming out, parents were reading them along with their kids and got just as involved in the story as their children did. So that kind of proved to me the books were ageless because these adults were reading these technically children's novels. But then I started thinking a little bit more about it. And I thought about some of the books I used to read in my childhood, besides those like Harry Potter. And even just last month, I read Where the Sidewalk Ends, which is poems, and it's a children's book. I found this in the children's section of my local bookstore. And I enjoyed these a lot as somebody who's in their 20s. So this kind of furthered my point that books are ageless because anybody can enjoy them. But then the more I was thinking about it, I also thought about some other books that I loved as a child, like these, which, not sure how many people read these as a kid, but in elementary school, I actually really enjoyed these. And I don't know that as someone in their 20s in college, I would enjoy this as much as I did when I was 8. But maybe I'll reread this just as an experiment and see how that goes. And I also thought about the Junie B. Jones books, which I loved so much. I loved them so much as a child that for one year at the book fair, I got a whole box set of them. And I haven't read these since I was in elementary school, and I haven't even thought about trying to pick one up since then anyway, because they're children's books. And I don't know that I would enjoy them as much anymore. But then I also have books like the American Girl doll series. I don't own all of them, but I do own a fair amount because there was a time in my childhood where I really loved these books and these dolls. And I think these I would actually still enjoy as an adult because they are historical fiction. Granted, yes, they are small, and yes, they do have pictures and the type is very big, but I think all the same I would still enjoy the story. I mean, it always made sense to me that there was a cap on what children should read, because obviously you would never let a child read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or Fight Club, because those are adult books and obviously have mature themes, so you wouldn't want a child reading either of these books. But also as an adult, I don't see anything wrong with reading any of these books. Granted, you might get a few weird looks if you try to read Junie B. Jones or Captain Underpants, but nobody's really gonna look at you that weird for reading Where the Sidewalk Ends. So that brings us to my ultimate question. Can you be too old for a book? My initial thought is still, especially with Harry Potter, no, because this book is still wonderful, and a lot of people did read it as an adult. Granted, yes, because they had children, but there were also people who were in their 20s that were reading Harry Potter when it first came out as 20-year-olds. So I don't know that you can be too old for Harry Potter, but I can definitely see being too old for Captain Underpants. So if you have any thoughts on this matter, leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on if you can be too old for a book. I really look forward to seeing your responses. I'll see you next time. Bye.